Riverdale fans, we have a special recap to get you ready for more drama in the lives of Archie, Jughead, Betty, and Veronica.
Amazing!
Season 5 is fast approaching, and with all the twists and turns that have happened over the years,
what the hell is going on?
It is time to get you ready for more fun times at Pop's Chocolate Shop. Get your burger and milkshake ready, as here is everything you need to know before Season 5. Season 1. Who shot JB? Riverdale began with the mystery that had us all tweeting. Who murdered Cheryl Blossom's twin brother, Jason Blossom? We learned from our narrator, Jughead, that everyone is a suspect. Jughead decides to start writing a novel about the dark events of that fateful summer. With material like this, who can blame him? The season had us sifting through all of the clues, trying to piece together this murder mystery. Archie was holding back his own secret. He heard a gunshot at Sweetwater River on the 4th of July, the same day that Jason was murdered. Archie was there with his secret lover and high school teacher, Miss Grundy. She didn't want Archie telling Sheriff Keller that they were together in a secret rendezvous for obvious legal reasons.
We could go to jail.
Cheryl, on the other hand, had her own secrets. She told the authorities that her brother fell off the boat and into the river, but that wasn't the case. Cheryl is arrested after Jason's autopsy showed that he died a week after July the 4th. Our list of suspects continued as we learned about the mysterious figure Hiram Lodge, who has had some dealings himself with Clifford Blossom, the head of the Blossom Maple Syrup. Hiram's wife and his daughter Veronica moved to Riverdale as Hiram is facing embezzlement charges. She instantly captures Archie's attention away from Betty, who Archie sees as only a friend. Betty channels her Nancy Drew and investigates the Jason Blossom murder and Miss Grundy's identity. Betty and Veronica, super sleuths, find a gun in Miss Grundy's car, and she is added to the list of possible Jason Blossom murder suspects. Then we have F.P. Jones, Jughead's dad, head of the Southside Serpents. Did he have any involvement in Jason's murder? He confesses to killing Jason and even spends jail time, but he only confesses because Jughead's life was threatened. Jason and Cheryl's creepy parents take in Polly, who had been sent away to live with nuns after becoming pregnant by Jason Blossom. The end of the season has Archie and the gang watching a video of Clifford Blossom shooting his tied-up son in cold blood. Clifford is then found hanging from the rafters of his maple syrup farm. His farm was actually a front for transporting heroin from Montreal. Cheryl, who is distraught, ends up running off into the frozen lake only to fall through. In a scene showcasing Archie as Superman, he pummels through the ice to grab Cheryl and save her life. The season 1 finale cliffhanger is one that has a profound effect for many reasons to come. Archie's dad, Fred, is shot at Pop's Diner by the Black Hood, a man with piercing green eyes. Jughead describes it as the last moment at which Riverdale's innocence finally died. It was a moment that was anything but random. Season 2, The Black Hood. Fred Andrews is alive, and while he's recovering, the Black Hood strikes again and murders Miss Grundy, who had relocated to Greendale. The Black Hood sends a letter to Alice Cooper at the Riverdale Register to print, letting everyone know that he is here to rid the town of sin. He then starts a pen-pal friendship with Betty, letting her know that he started his crusade for Betty. He leaves Betty with a coded message, which, once deciphered, will let her know where the Black Hood will strike next. Betty realizes that the code is actually from her favorite Nancy Drew novel as a kid and breaks the code. The Black Hood will be striking at the same evening at the town hall. Betty arrives just in time to pull the fire alarm and evacuate everyone from the building. Betty begins receiving calls from the Black Hood, who forces Betty to break up with her boyfriend Jughead. Is this the end of Bughead? We are then introduced to Mr. Svensson, the janitor that seems to be everywhere at Riverdale High. He protects Josie from Chuck after Cheryl convinces her that Chuck is Josie's stalker, sending her threatening letters and drawings. Archie and Veronica conduct some sleuthing on their own and uncover that there was a murder years ago where a man killed his family, except one surviving victim. They realize that the victim is their janitor, Mr. Svensson, who confesses that he had been hiding for years after what happened to his family. After visiting Grandma Blossom, Betty learns that her grandfather captured the original murderer of the family and buried him alive. Betty and Archie dig up the grave only to find an empty coffin. The Black Hood arrives and forces Betty to bury Archie alive. The police show up and Sheriff Keller shoots the Black Hood, who is revealed to be Mr. Svensson. Or was it? The Black Hood returns in the Riverdale High production of Carrie, shocking all in the audience by revealing Midge murdered on stage. Betty begins receiving calls once again from the Black Hood. He wants more blood. He wants her estranged brother, Schick. Dark Betty decides to turn over her brother and uncovers that her father, Hal, is the real Black Hood. Betty arrives home to find her dad and mom watching a home movie. Hal explains that his father was the original Black Hood and that his mom conditioned him to become the next Black Hood.
Sinners have to die.
Hal was triggered when Betty said, "We must do better," at the mayoral town hall and began his assault. He begins choking Alice, but Betty hits her dad over the head with a fireplace shovel. Hal is arrested, and in a scene that mirrors Clarice visiting Hannibal, Betty visits her dad in his containment center and says goodbye. The finale has Archie arrested for the murder of the store clerk, who Hiram's bodyguard actually murdered in the woods. Archie stood up to Hiram, and Hiram had him framed for murder. Season 3, The Gargoyle King. The season begins with Archie's murder trial, where Archie accepts a plea deal to serve 2 years in juvenile detention. Alice and Polly try to convince Betty to join the farm, which is a cult led by Edgar Never-Ever. Riverdale student Dilton is found dead after participating in a game called Griffins and Gargoyles. His friend Ben later commits suicide at the hospital when pressed by Betty and Jughead. They begin investigating and find Dilton's bunker, where they learn all about the lethal game. Ethel plays Griffins and Gargoyles with Jughead, and after giving Jughead the scripture of the game, Ethel drinks from a poisoned chalice and is placed on suicide watch. Jughead's dad then burns the scripture, only to find copies of the scripture placed on every student's locker at Riverdale High. Archie's friends create a plan and manage to help Archie escape the prison. As a result, the warden commits suicide by cyanide poisoning, as he failed to ascend in his G&G game by killing Archie. Veronica finds interview footage on her mom's computer, proving Archie's innocence, resulting in Archie cleared of all charges.
I promised you'd be free by homecoming.
However, Archie doesn't want to return to town and breaks up with Veronica. Suddenly, most of the Riverdale students start suffering from seizures after taking the drug Fizzle Rocks. Reggie tells Veronica that the drugs are coming from the prison that Hiram is constructing. Betty uncovers that the Gargoyle King is a hallucination from the drugs. With his business in danger, Hiram manages to get the town quarantined and sealed off. Yes, Riverdale did quarantining first. In a scene that had us watching it twice, Hiram raises his drink to the Gargoyle King, who is in front of him. Was the Gargoyle King even real? Who was he? It was the former Southside Serpent, Tallboy, who had faked his death and was working for Hiram. Tallboy is killed when trying to escape. Hiram is also shot, and Veronica believes that Archie may be responsible. As a result, she breaks up with Archie and moves closer to Reggie. Betty enlists Cheryl to help her infiltrate the farm, but after a discussion with Edgar Never-Ever, Cheryl decides to join the farm, as they are allowing her to see Jason. Betty tries to convince her mom and Cheryl that their loved ones are dead, and that it's not possible to see them alive at the farm. In another round of bad luck, Betty's dad escapes from prison and teams up with the Gargoyle King. Worried that her dad will attack the farm, Betty decides to stay on the farm to protect her mom. Betty learns that the farm is performing surgeries to harvest organs. Cheryl is able to save Tony from the operation, but Cheryl is taken away by the guards. Veronica and Archie hatch a plan to have a boxing match between Archie and Hiram at La Bonne Nuit in order to catch him on illegal gambling. The plan works, and Hiram is arrested as his name is listed as the owner of the bar. Back at the bunker, Ethel gives Jughead the identity of the Gargoyle King. It's Jason Blossom. In a surprising twist, Jason's casket is actually empty. In a ghoulish murder mystery dinner party scene, Penelope reveals herself to the group as the mastermind of the Griffins and Gargoyles game, and that Schick, who is still alive, is the Gargoyle King. The gang is forced to play the game and ingest chalices of cyanide. Betty shoots her dad to receive the cyanide antidote, Jughead knocks Schick down, and Schick is arrested. Penelope finishes Hal off and kills him. Archie and friends are saved and the farm is raided, but everyone has disappeared, including Penelope, Alice, and Polly. The season finale has Hermione arrested for attempting to kill Hiram, and Cheryl brings the body of her dead brother Jason home.
Welcome home, JJ.
In a surprising twist, Betty and Jughead learn that their brother Charles is alive. We learn that he is an FBI agent, and that Alice had been undercover at the farm the entire time.
My mother is an FBI informant?
The season ends with a flash-forward scene of the gang covered in blood, promising to never speak about the day to anyone. Jughead's beanie is thrown into the flames. Season 4, Jughead's death. The season opens on some somber notes as we learn that Fred Andrews has been killed by a hit-and-run driver from a neighboring town. This scene was exceptionally heartbreaking as the world lost Luke Perry in reality. A special tribute that is paid to Luke Perry's memory as the entire town forms a parade in remembrance of Archie's father. Season 4 introduces us to the school's new principal, Mr. Honey, who becomes a thorn in everyone's backside. We learn that Jughead accepts admission to a prestigious school named Stonewell Prep, where he has a turbulent relationship with the roommate Brad. Archie is also looking forward and decides to renovate a gym and turn it into a community center. Betty and Charles work on trying to retrieve members of the farm. Yes, Alice shooting Edgar as he is escaping in a rocket did actually happen in season 4. He was really doing his best to ascend. Peace and calm doesn't last long in Riverdale, as the town members begin receiving videotapes of their homes being watched. A flash forward shows FP and Betty at the coroner's office, identifying Jughead's body. Betty and Kevin join the junior FBI training program, and we learn that Betty has the serial killer gene. We saw that one coming. Meanwhile, at Stonewall Prep, Jughead joins a contest to become the next ghostwriter for a series of Baxter Brothers novels. Another flash forward shows Archie, Veronica, and Betty arrested for the murder of Jughead. Back in present time, Jughead finds proof that his grandfather, Forsyth, was the author of the first Baxter Brothers book, which is denied by the original writer. Jughead asks his creative writing teacher, Mr. Chipping, for help, but instead, he dives out of a window, killing himself. Jughead learns that his contract with the Baxter Brothers is being terminated as he is being accused of plagiarizing the story that got him into Yale. Brett blackmails Jughead and tells him to leave Stonewall Prep, or else he will release a video of him and Betty having sex.
I do have a tape of you in ponytail doing the nasty.
Brett invites them to an Ides of March party in the woods. Jughead attends the party, seeking revenge on Brett. We learn that Donna met with Evelyn in prison, and learn that there is a special word that could be used to hypnotize Betty into hurting the people she loves. Did Betty kill Jughead under hypnosis? Sheriff FP arrests Archie, Betty, and Veronica, but releases them after the test results on the rock reveal that the blood was fake. We learn that Jughead is still alive. Charles ordered the trio to burn their clothes while he took in Jughead for injuries, and Jughead's survival was kept a secret. Jughead was bait to lure out Forsyth, who has been living in hiding, trying to prove that Mr. DuPont murdered his original literary circle. DuPont kills himself to avoid jail time. On the romance side, Betty begins realizing that she has feelings for Archie. More tapes are sent to the residents of Riverdale, and in one gruesome tape, a person wearing a Jughead mask is brutally murdered by another person wearing a Betty face mask. Archie wants to act out on his feelings for Betty, but Betty doesn't want to hurt Jughead and Veronica, and they decide not to pursue their relationship any further. Archie, not happy with his future prospects, decides that he will join the Naval Academy and leave Riverdale.
I think it's time for a completely fresh start.
When Principal Honey cancels prom, Jughead writes a story about the group killing Mr. Honey. Betty proposes this plot point for Jughead's story. She describes the potential murder of Mr. Honey in great detail, where we learn that Mr. Honey wasn't as bad as the students thought him to be. Jughead learns that he sent a letter on his behalf to the University of Iowa. Jughead quickly edits the story to have Mr. Honey survive. The season ends with Jughead and Betty receiving a videotape inviting them to a cabin. In the cabin, they find a videotape of a group of people wearing the masks of them all stabbing Mr. Honey to death. For those of you who loved last season, you're in luck as season 4 has some more story to be told. As a result of the pandemic, Riverdale was forced to halt production, and those few remaining episodes of season 4 will be tagged on to the upcoming season 5.